Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to another exciting episode of your favorite Enviro show.
Indeed, very, very much interesting. And it's always a pleasure to have you right there.
Yeah, so shout out to our day ones. You know who you are, man. Shout out Naquila, I saw you. Shout out Miss Ruth.
Shout out to Tamanzi youth and our Congo youth out there.
Yeah, so stay tuned, guys, because you know next week we will be giving shout outs again. So make sure you're commenting and we're checking you out, man.
Yeah. So get yourself comfortable and stay tuned.
Hi, this is Naquila and you're watching Youth Enviro Show.
Ek is Luciano en jy kyk Youth Enviro Show.
This is Martha, you're watching Youth Enviro Show. Stay tuned.
Do you believe that, Namibians are doing much to combat climate change?
I mean, in our homes, we hardly practice the 3 R's. Children are taught about reuse, reduce, recycle in schools mostly. But in our homes, we don't even have systems where we recycle. We don't even have systems of what do we do with our cans, And I know that there's so many organizations and institutions who on a weekly basis do the rounds in terms of educating people. Even the red plastic bag that we get from Rent a Drum.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like so much information on that bag. But our people toss it. They just put it in the garbage bin. I think that there's just a lot more we can do. We're not doing enough to continue protecting our planet. Someday I would like my children's children to be able to see a rhino.
Welcome back. In our previous episodes, we have been focusing so much about climate change. So today, we are going to dive in more and more about something very interesting.
Oh, I find this like the most interesting topic that we've had so far.
And this is the reason why we do not want you to go away, because we'll be speaking a lot about interesting topics that can actually help you. However, now, in this one here, right here, we are going to teach you or educate you about speciation and extinction. So Sharesa, before our viewers start commenting, what is species?
Well, I hope most of you remember from biology. Some of you that are still in high school, we know that a species is a group of organisms, similar organisms, that are able to interbreed. So we know that plants, they're a certain type of species, animals are a certain type of species, and us, we're also a certain type of species. Now, I want to find out from you, what is our species name? What do they call us? If you have the answer to this question, please comment down below.
Moving on, let's define what speciation is. So speciation is how a new kind of plant or animal species is created. Speciation occurs when a group within a species separate from other members of its species and develop its own unique characteristic. The demand of different food that are actually being found in a certain environment and the characteristic, it's what actually differentiates this species from the ancestors. For example, the Galapagos finch. These birds actually live in different islands of archipelago Galapagos Island. So what happened is that these birds, before they isolated from one another, like this species, it was actually due to the fact that a physical barrier, like an ocean, came in that island. Now it divided islands into different islands, smaller islands, causing these species of birds to live in each island.
Yeah.
So now what happened is that in each island is actually different. The environment there is different. The food there is different. So and this is the reason why each species of these birds in different islands, they have developed or they have evolved new characteristics that could only fit for that certain environment. For example, the ones that live in one island where there's hard shells of nuts, so their beaks, they have developed into a little bit harder and shorter beaks to be able to crack the nuts.
And even the skills in how they use and develop what they used to do all together in the mainland, now they have to find a new way of doing, in this new island.
And this is now what we call speciation, because now they can no more interbreed.
Oh yes.
Because of the physical barrier, which is the ocean.
And the name for that is called the allopatric speciation, which means that it can only happen because the species are being divided by a physical barrier, which is either the ocean, a river, or the mountain.
Very interesting, eh?
Yeah.
Let's talk about now the peripatric speciation. This is when an individual of this species, for example, let's talk about the birds. A group of organisms in this group, they have actually separated as well by a physical barrier, as you have mentioned, an ocean or a mountain. However, the difference between allopatric and peripatric is that now in peripatric is a small number that is actually separated from the large number of the same species. Now and then they also have to be different, they have to evolve. However, they still cannot interbreed because of the physical barrier. Remember, we are talking about creation of a new species, which is actually different from the ancestors. Now, this is actually bringing us to now the parapatric speciation. When this speciation occurs in a mining area, and mining area actually produces, or let me say the mine in that area produces harmful
gases,
harmful metals, toxin, a lot of toxin. So for example, a buffalo grass,
guys, it is grass that has been named after the animal, not the animal eating the grass, because that's what I thought.
So this grass, it evolves in such a way that it has to develop mechanism to be able to obtain food as well as obtain water, like through absorption, nutrients in a polluted environment. So it can also develop like enzymes that can able to to catalyze certain metals. However, the buffalo grass in the mining area will not be the same as the one which is not in a non-polluted area, and this is where speciation occurs, because these two species are now different due to the environment. Well, and this brought us to the last speciation, which is artificial speciation. Artificial speciation is normally done in the lab. This is when you see people are creating new species in the lab using, for example, experiment, using, look at some dogs. They were created from the lab.
That is true.
Look at some,
And it will even continue happening more and more as the world is developing.
Yes.
Because, we're looking for new ways. Technology is developing in such a fast pace that we're looking for new ways of our mundane structures, food.
Is very, very important. When it comes to food productivity, a lot of things has to be done so that it can be able to feed all the people.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us an example of a type of speciation that we have actually not spoken about? This could also be artificial, or it can be allopatric, or sympatric, or peripatric, or parapatric. So comment down below.
Today we took a very interesting tour. We came to the Natural Science Department of the museum. Can you believe it? We actually have a department, a part of our museum, that deals with all interesting species, mammals, fishes, reptiles. I am blown away, and so you will be as well. So come on, let's go along as we go through these different departments.
So this is entomology. Here, as you can see, this is my workstation. This whole building is where we keep all the varieties of insects.
Wow.
So this is this is the biggest collection you find at the museum right now, and one of the biggest entomology collections in Africa.
Wow. Did you hear that? One of the biggest insect collections in Africa.
So at the museum we do curation work where we do the collection of biological specimens, we do the pinning them, we preserve them, we do research on them, like studying them, what are they speciation, how are they extinct or something like that. So we find out through the geographical distribution. Like we want to know what is in the southern part of Namibia, what is in the northern part of Namibia. Is it still the same? Does it still exist? And or is it gone? Like right now we don't see butterflies anymore according to many factors. And I mean everybody have observed.
Yeah, that is
you
true.
hardly see
Butterflies
those
as
beautiful butterflies anymore. Might be because of climate change or because of other changes that happens in the nature. So this collection is divided into two, in the dry collection and in the wet collection. The dry collection make up the large portion of the collection. As you can see, these big specimens that can be pinned and can be kept in this form the same way as they are in the nature. So they are a dry collection, while that one in the bottle mostly is those tiniest specimens that we get that we are unable to pin, so we preserve them like that in 75% ethanol.
Oh, hi.
Good morning. My name is Kunanjambi Mupura. Welcome to the Birds and the Small Mammal Collection.
Oh, nice.
We have over 256 specimens here. So this is basically an inactive collection, right? There's no more collections or specimens being collected. It's mainly just for maintenance purpose. Okay, so we have two collections, which is the wet and dry. The wet collection consists of specimen being placed in ethanol, and the dry collection consists of the skulls, the skin, and specimen such as this being treated with borax. It's a type of salt that is being placed on the specimen. And then some cotton is inserted into the specimen. And
Sewn together. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to touch any of these.
This is basically for research purpose and for conservation purpose, so for the future generations to see. I'm already a future generation. This were collected right in the 1920s.
1920s.
1920s. So maybe we can start with the.
Oh, these are big birds.
These are big birds.
That one looks familiar. That is a vulture.
These are vultures. So this tag is called a meta tag. It shows who collected it, when it was collected, where it was collected, and sometimes it also has a GPS coordinate. So this was collected in the 1965. So this is how big the vultures were back in the 1965. I don't know how. Is it the same size, or due to climate change we might not expect the same size?
Is it? But then you guys won't be collecting anymore.
We won't be collecting
so
anymore.
Then you can't really.
There is a need for comparison or for study's sake. Before the team goes out into the field, we acquire a permit from the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. They are the ones that give us the permit. So we need to have a certain number of species that we collect also. So we cannot just go out there and just collect whenever we want to collect.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
nature still needs them.
Yes. So this is also a duck, a family of the duck. I don't know when this was collected. Let me see, 1964.
1964.
Yeah. So right here we have some true eagles. So I don't know if you are comfortable with touching this Burex.
Without gloves, no.
This were treated with Burex, the type of salt that I said. So it kind of keeps it in this most natural state. Imagine if I say these were collected in the 1920s, and look at how well preserved they are.
They're very soft,
Yeah,
actually.
very soft. So they place a certain cotton in the middle of it. So it's just all for preservation's sake. For the lovebirds.
Oh, lovebirds.
So we also preserve these little birds also here in its most natural state also.
Guys, so
this is from the 1972, I think. This is when this was collected.
oh, okay, yeah, I can see these are all the same breed.
Yeah, all the same breed. So each drawer would have a certain family. So yeah, you see.
Oh,
Sorry about that. This is
No,
our
it's
small
okay.
mammals. This is the African wildcat.
I'll stand right here by you.
Yes. So this is part of the dry collection. It's treated with Burex, and this is the small spotted cats. I haven't seen these ones around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're around. It's just that
Oh, are these are in the wild?
they are all in the wild. Yes. These are the hair collection also. Yeah. So they also just preserved the same.
So hares and rabbits are different,
They are different families.
but they're able to crossbreed.
They should be from the same family in order to crossbread.
Oh,
Yeah, it
so
should be the same family in order for them to crossbreed.
okay, get that now.
Zebra and lion skin.
You know, this might be the closest I'm gonna get to a lion. So, wow.
This was also treated with Burex, the salt that I was telling you about.
Yeah, I can feel that these are pretty hard, but that is what happens to the skin, right?
After a few years.
So this is what a zebra feels like.
So right here we have the pinkaleni, which is one of the endangered species in Namibia. They are quite hunted, they're in demand, so that's why they're well protected by the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. So anybody who's found with it is actually fined. We have some springbok, water. So as we said, this is just the skin collection. And right here we have the jackals. So these are just all skin that are dried and treated with Burex.
These shells are actually pretty hard, hey? But maybe because they've been preserved after some time, they do feel a bit fragile.
My name is Samo Baepi. I am the curator for the ethology and the aquatic invertebrates collection. So the aim of the collection is to collect and preserve all fish species and aquatic invertebrates across the country. Like for the fish collection, we collect mostly from the rivers, the dams and the lakes, and the marine environment, which is our sea. So in our ethology collection, we have two sections. We have the freshwater fish, we have the marine fish. So our freshwater fish comprises of fish that we get from freshwater, and our marine comprises of the sea. So in our freshwater collection, we have a variety of species that we have collected from rivers, from lakes, and dams across the country. We also have specimens that were given to the museum as donation from other countries like Angola, Germany. And our marine just mostly comprises from the ocean. So how do we get access to this, or how do we collect? We usually have trips or field trips where we go on surveys, long surveys, where we collect across across the country. And we also get specimens from researchers. Usually when researchers come to Namibia, they are doing their research for their studies, postgraduate studies. So they usually deposit the specimens here at the museum. So that's where we curate them and preserve them. So they don't usually, only if they have specimens that they have to go with to their countries or respective institutions, that's where they have to loan them from the museum. So when they collect the specimens, they belong to the museum, they have to be deposited to the museum. So this is catfish. This is the common catfish that we have, Clarias caripinos. So I collected this last week in the Quiseb River Pass. Yeah, in the Quiseb River Pass. So these are just juveniles when they are small. They can get bigger than all of us. They can get so long and big.
Oh, definitely my height.
No, even
taller than me.
Taller. Okay, so this is how we display them. We display them in jars. So these are console jars, and this is 70% ethanol that they are preserved in. So these are just the labels to help with the identification, the name of the species. So the family.
Oh yes,
that's Alastidae. So this is the family that includes this tiger fish. The family of tiger fish. Yes. So these are all at the same family. And then we have the cichlids. This is includes the tilapias, the largemouth fish, any fish that you see that looks like, tilapia, how it looks like. Tilapia, that's like this type of fish.
Oh, they look so nice.
Yeah, so any fish that you see or come across that looks like this in this freshwater, that belongs to this family of cichlids.
Oh, guys, what an experience that was. It was exciting. It was amazing. So make some time throughout the week. I know for those who are working, it's a bit difficult because they only open throughout the week, but it's so amazing. And it's right across our big National Museum.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. What an experience.
Now let's fast forward to extinction. So Sharessa, what is extinction?
Well, extinction is the termination of an organism or a species, which means basically the death of the organism and species, that they no longer exist.
So before we actually dish out what we know and what we have done research about, tell us, what is extinction?
Yeah.
And which animal have actually extinct, if that's a word?
I mean, Esther, there is Esther's favorite bird. She always talks about this bird. So if you know the name of Esther's favorite bird, please comment down below.
And if you don't know, you can always go back to episode number 2. That's what we have spoken about, that favorite bird of mine. Yeah, so guys, extinction, like she said, is when organisms are no more existing. However, we have now different types of extinction. We have now the global extinction,
and we have local extinction.
We have also extinction in the wild. So global extinction is when these species are no more existing at all. For example, in dinosaurs.
Also things like dragons and like the Titanoboa, the biggest snake in the world. Do you believe that these things existed? I mean, I feel like the only reason why we believe dinosaurs were real is because we have physical proof. But other people also talk about like these other creatures also existed, but now they are extinct.
Such as unicorn. Do you really think there was really a unicorn, or is just a fairy tale?
Yeah.
So you may comment right down below. Moving on to local extinction. Studies have shown that some organisms, or let me say some species, are no more found in their range, but only in the wild. For example, the American wolf. Study or researchers have stated that American wolf is no more found in its range, but only in the wild. And also in the wild, the number of individuals of this species has actually deteriorated or decreased.
We also have a third type of extinction, which is wild extinction. It means that certain organisms and species are no longer found in nature, but the only way that we can see them or that they're being able to be protected is being in zoos, aquariums, or botanical gardens.
Speaking of that, we have been speaking so much about the types of extinction. What really causes extinction?
Oof, I'm telling you, there's so many reasons, right? But if I have to name 5, it would have to be catastrophic events such as earthquakes, tsunamis. Then it has to be diseases. There are certain diseases that only happen within species.
For example, mouth and tongue disease. For example,
horse flu for horses, bird flu. There's events, human activity. We contribute, I would have to say, largely to the reason of why, a lot of organisms are going extinct. But then also, competition between organisms and predators.
Yeah, when she's talking about human activities, which actually the main cause of extinction. However, human activities did not cause dinosaurs to go to extinct.
I mean, that was a natural cause.
Yeah, it was a natural cause. However, humans are actually a distraction, us, me and you, because when the population of human beings increases, everyone wants to clear the land and start their own family. And when you start your own family, you have now a farm, you start building at that place, you cut down trees, like the habitats. There are actually some birds that only prefer to live at a certain tree.
Or they not even prefer, they actually can only live in a certain tree because it's their protection.
Yeah, with nature is very, very interesting because there are certain organisms that only prefer to feed at a certain type of a plant, of a tree, or feed a certain type of a bird, or they really choose. Their diet is specific.
Yeah.
And imagine if we now actually eliminate this diet of then certain animal, then it's causing us issues.
Yes.
However, we are still talking about what causes extinction. It's like habit destruction, cutting down of
poaching.
Trees. Yes, very, very important.
I mean, like we mentioned before, certain animals, they, their tusks, their fur is of good quality. They keep us warm, or they're like good for medicinal purposes. But however, illegal activities with these animals have also gone to a rise.
Activities such as overfishing is actually decreasing the fish in the ocean or in the water body, overhunting,
and oil spills.
However, we have been speaking so much about extinction now, but we didn't mention other interesting species that have actually extinct.
Yeah.
Species such as dodo bird, which actually extinct 1662, Stella sea cow 1768, Masarini Island giant tortoise 1795,
the South African Cape lion in 1858, the Baji white dolphin that went extinct in 2006, and the Chinese paddlefish that went extinct in 2007.
Wow, that was recent.
That is recent. Imagine every year actually, certain species and organisms are actually going extinct.
And that's so sad. But how can we prevent this to happen? How can we prevent extinction? You may comment down right below.
And humans depend, we need a healthy ecosystem in order to help us purify the environment. Now imagine one ecosystem, one species is removed from the chain.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, for example, here in our country, we depend so much in our wildlife.
Yeah.
Imagine if we remove all the elephants, all the lions, all the cheetahs. Sorry, we don't have tigers here in Namibia. All the crocodiles, the hippos, the rhinos. What will happen to our tourists?
our GDP is gonna go down.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to have our tourists actually in the country. I love tourists.
Yeah, we love seeing you here.
Yes, we love seeing you here. That's why if you are watching us and you are from outside Namibia, you must come visit us here. We have a variety of and plenty of wildlife animals that we are actually trying to prevent from extinction.
And I mean, it's so different seeing it in a zoo than what you actually see it in nature.
Yeah, so Sharissa, the question still remains, what can me and you do to curb extinction?
Well, the most important thing, and it will forever be the most important thing, is education. We need to know specifically what type of organisms or species are in our country that is going extinct or around the world. You know, another very important thing that we need to do is to start driving slowly. Because remember, as humans, we have moved into the habitat of the species and organisms with the developing of our cities. And now some animals, they still live within these developed areas. And as you've seen, they do put up road signs saying, slow down, watch out. You know,
wildlife animals are here.
Exactly.
The warthogs may just jump in. The elephants, you know, may just also
walk. And you see in those things, they, you know, they are very detrimental to us because we end up in accidents. But also many times what happens is that those animals end up dying. And that, you know, is killing off the species.
The last extinction prevention measure is by recycling and also by reusing papers. This is because papers are actually from cutting down trees. Like if you cut a tree, papers are actually a plant.
Yeah.
You cut down a plant to get a paper. And if we reduce, we reuse, that means that we'll have fewer trees to cut down. And this brought us to the end of our today's episode. As from me, Esther.
And me, Sharissa.
Tot ziens!
Bye!